Welcome everybody. Wow, sorry for my back, facing you in the back here. I'm Professor Prodromo. I teach here in International Studies. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you here. This is my colleague, Dr. Jason Welly. He's going to introduce our speaker today, but just to welcome you all here, it's great to see so many from my classes on democratization in the Middle East and geopolitics, religion, and security, and everyone else as well. And I just want to say a special welcome. First of all, it's great to have a dear friend here, Dr. Nikos Dimitriadis, who you'll have his introduction in a moment. Also accompanying him is filmmaker Norris Simeon Chumley, who has done a fantastic film on the Jesus Prayer on PBS, if you've not seen it, and also welcoming Abbot Nectarios from the monastery of Aia Anna, Saint Anna on Mount Athos, and also Mrs. Dimitriadis, Panayota, along with them. So it's a pleasure to have everyone here, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Welly. There's plenty of food in the other room, so help yourselves. You need to eat it all, okay? And the format is one I think that most of you are familiar with. We'll have a presentation, and then we'll have open Q&A and discussion, okay? So, Jason, it's all yours.
Thank you. So, it's my pleasure this morning to present to you Dr. Nikos Dimitriadis. He is Professor of World Religions at the American College of Thessaloniki in Greece. And he's the president of the Center of Ecumenical, Missiological, and Environmental Studies, same as we call it, in the same city in Thessaloniki. He's also active with globalethics.net in Geneva and is a member of the Executive Committee of the World Conference Association of Theological Institutions. Dr. Dimitriadis holds his doctorate from Aristotle University in Thessaloniki in the theology faculty there. And his primary areas of expertise are interreligious dialogue, missiology, environmental ethics, theology of religions, and ecumenical studies. He is a musician, and through his project Smile, his project on environmental ethics, he has performed worldwide to promote the connection between music and proper care of the environment. So with all of these things, that more than occupies him full time. But in his abundance of spare time, he has been involved with PROSECUW, a European funded project on protection and security for places of worship. And it's in that capacity that he will speak to us today about his role as project manager for that important initiative of the European Commission. So from the Boston College Eagles, our community, a warm welcome to you, Dr. Dimitriadis.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored, first of all. Usually they applaud me when I sing. But it's wonderful to be here among you all. Mostly I'd like to thank Dr. Elizabeth Prodromo for the invitation. Actually, I'm grateful, not only for the invitation, for your friendship, for the way we communicate, for everything. And of course, Dr. Jason Willie for his smiles, for arranging all that thing. I mean, they know you, right, that you're a smiling person here, which is good. And this is my motto. I think education should be about fun. We should have fun. Yeah. And I envy you that you're eating right now. Yeah. But something we don't do this in Greece. But I really enjoy it, believe me, because I like food. Yeah. And then because the personal way, it sounds like, you know, the film My Big Fat Greek Wedding? Yeah. So I came with my family. I brought the priest, I brought my brother, I brought my wife, my mom is missing. Yeah. So it's a privilege. I say we talk about cooking. The Abbot Nectarios, that he's been a monk in Mount Athos for more than 40 years. It's a privilege to have him with us today. Yeah, you know, he looks like Santa Claus in black and white, but he also, his heart is very, very open. So the reason that I'm here is to talk to you about the project, about the religious diversity, about who I am, and to get to know you. And of course, I try to, to limit my presentation in order to have the feedback and tell me. Okay, so as you see, in the PowerPoint, the title was initially, actually was Elizabeth's idea. I don't know if it was a type or not. We wrote concepts, not a concept. So such as concepts of religious identity. So no one concept, because already the term religion, like you understand, of course, and you know, is really difficult to define. So we think what religion means, and I have here a title, a fine definition. So you open the Oxford Dictionary and said that the system of belief that involves worship of God or gods, prayer, ritual, and a moral code, which of course is not 100% accurate. Why? Because when we bring, we think about religions, we begin to think about religions, obviously we bring what we have in our mind, or the predominant religion of our society. If it's too fast, please let me know, okay? Yeah. So this is what's happening. So in order to give you just the small things regarding the study of religions, and I want to be more formal, can I? More informal, so yeah. And because I thought of this idea to think and to explain religions with my tie. So imagine that we understand religion, and here in this environment, probably the monotheist religious traditions, which understand time linearly, which means this is past, this is present. You hold you for a second. Yeah. Past, present, and future, right? This is how we understand religion. Imagine half of this world understand time as a circle. So you live, you suffer, you die, you're reborn. So in Hinduism, Buddhism, so imagine how difficult it is already to fully comprehend what religion is, how to define. So what we do is, we as historians of religions, we analyze, we try to understand the experience of the believers. Otherwise, because the only way to understand fully religion is only if you experience it. I will skip the human purpose and the world's scripts to go to the last part, exclusiveness and inclusiveness. And here's also another very interesting feature of religions. So the three religions, monotheist religions, are exclusive. In other terms, you cannot be by the same time a Christian and a Muslim, or a Muslim and a Jew. But there are other religions that are characterized by this inclusiveness. So I have friends, let's say, that are, say, Shinto and the Buddhist. So they're following both religious traditions in practice as well. And why PROSECUW? To pass immediately to our subject today. I love praxis, even though I'm theoretical, and we have this tendency, academics, to be theoretical. I realized in my life, in a certain point, I'm not that old actually, but I realized in my life that, we should put this theory into praxis. Otherwise, it will remain, just words and words. And you know what the world is experiencing nowadays, really difficult situation. Not only, we know from the media that's only in Gaza or in Ukraine, but in all over the globe. So we don't have the luxury, I think, to have things that makes us think and feel apart. We should act together. Even though this world is characterized by this religious, what we call religious diversity, we should act together, especially by, not to put, like I tell you, theory into praxis, because this PROSECUW is the title is the project was about the protection and security for places of worship. And probably though you visited, I assume, European cities. You go in Rome, for example, in St. Peter's, and it's not only Catholics that go into St. Peter's. There are Buddhists, there are Hindus, everyone is going. Atheists. My band, we went there, with the band in Rome. And we were so surprised. And then, for all those things happening in the whole world, you don't feel secure, and this is what the findings. So what we did, just to really briefly to see how the whole presentation will flow, I will talk about some social media perceptions, and then the religious diversity, which we think always us and them. Then the religious fundamentalism, which is a common enemy of all, religious diversity, freedom of family, the PROSECUW, the findings. So what we did actually, social media then. So yeah, after 9/11, the world has changed, clearly. And unfortunately, what I was hearing, even in theological conferences, so I heard this in the 9th Assembly of the World Council of Churches in Porto Alegre. The equivalent word of a Muslim, for a Muslim, in the social media was a terrorist.
Mhm.
And I heard it, right? And everybody started to blame, Islam. So during the project, I realized that this is still the case for many people. And not only during the project, during my flight as well. Because we were preparing the the presentations and everything during the flights. There's not much time to, even though I lost it this morning, so I had to rewrite it. So I don't know if you can see that. So look, the latest news: anti-Palestine policy West intertwined with rising Islamophobia. And I think it's a term, first of all, Islamophobia, that I don't accept personally. What does it mean? My roommate in Italy, when I was studying, he was from Afghanistan, right? And according to what they said also in the Assembly of World Council of Churches, and also my friends as well, after 9/11 especially there, he had many chances to kill me while I was sleeping, but he's the sweetest, he's my best friend. I changed my ticket to go and see him now in DC. Because we were really, really bonded. I went to his wedding. So this is something we had to talk about and really seriously take into consideration regarding that. So the social media, as I said here, we try to identify those misconceptions, and we came to this conclusion that similar behaviors are mainly results of what we call religious illiteracy. And probably you've heard this multiple times, also with your professors here. And you know what, I feel this is a responsibility of all of us, mainly of us as educators, or to my extent, if you want, it's a question of leadership, a responsible religious leadership, both in a local level and a more broader sense. And of course, I'm not blaming the religious hierarchs, because all of us here, we have to love this responsibility. First of all, we have access to education. We should know those things. What Islam stands for, what Christianity stands for, what religion stands for, what is atheism, what is spirituality. So yes, we should all feel responsible on that. And of course, like I said, religious leadership in the broad sense, we are all leaders. In that sense, access to education, especially, I was driving on my way here. Look at me now. I'm in Boston, the quintessence of religious institutions in the world. Just in the corner, all those. And you have access to that. And since through my travels and mission, I've been in Kenya, in Africa, in the slum of Kibera, when the 60% population live in the 6% of the land. And not only they don't have access to education, they have access to water. So yes, that makes not you but me. I talk about myself. I feel my responsibility. And I said, okay, what should I do with that? So this is why I said to pass theory into praxis, and really, again, briefly, the religious identity, the religious diversity. What is that? Again, us and them. We're discussing about religions, religious diversity. We think my faith and the faith of the other. Again, have in our mind, what is my faith? What do I believe? Which is very normal, very natural, of course, right? But it's not only about that. What about the others, right? Things become more complicated with this us and them, because this already creates a distance between people. So, whereas in the fight of injustice, or showing effort in peace building, or similar endeavor for the common good, we realize that it's difficult to work together when you are in a distance. So the other, additionally, talking about at least my environment, where I grew up in Greece, where it's totally 92%, I say, more or less is approximately monotheistic, Christian Orthodox. So what the desideratum will be in Italian, what we should do is to see the other as part of the creation of one God. At least this happens in all monotheistic religious traditions. Or also in the East, the other is a part of a sacred reality. So I realize, why should we, have these conflicts, and we shouldn't be afraid of this religious diversity. Briefly, 3 examples to understand. In Christianity, for example, Father Alexander Smeman used to say that to be a Christian is the possible impossibility to see to the face of your enemy, not of your friend, of your pal, of your enemy, Jesus Christ, of your enemy, of the person that killed your brother, which is insane. If you think about Christianity, a God that was crucified, again, look at it from another perspective, from the Eastern religious perspective. What do they think? They think, oh, I was a part of this marathon of peace and discussing about it, and I say, yes, Christian, the word of love, God. Say, yeah, you know what? A guy from India. So, you're preaching unity from a divided body.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Not regarding only the denominations of Christianity, inside Orthodoxy. Nowadays, I don't want to get into your field, the religion, but in Ukraine, brothers are killing brothers from the same religion, from the same denomination. This is a fact. That's true for brothers. And then regarding Islam, talking about this Islamophobia, there's a famous passage of Quran in the Surah 2nd, 256. I quote, "There shall be no compulsion in religion." What about the word jihad? I call it to my students, and they say, jihad, okay, holy war. No, it's not. Jihad is a struggle. Because there are 2 kinds of jihad. The personal one, which involves, the personal daily struggle to live virtuously, and the public understanding, which is the attempt to establish in our society the Islamic ideas of truth, justice, morality. So I had a student that he said to me once, you know what, jihad is to brush your teeth every day morning, to respect God's creation. This is jihad. Although, of course, the role of the media is, it's tremendous, I would say. Then we discussed about religious fundamentalism. We had a paper in the PROSECUW, in the team, which I had the privilege to write. So we analyzed this religious fundamentalism, definitely it's an enemy. This paper provided an overview of the need of the consolidated efforts to combat religious fundamentalism, which is present in most European countries, of course, at the moment, and how we protect places of worship. Of course, guaranteeing the free exercise of the essential rights of the religious freedom. And in this slide, we present this PROSECUW, the project. And talking about religious diversity, this is how everything starts. We have the tendency to be afraid of what we don't understand, of the unknown. And of course, because we have access to media, because this is now everything. So if you tell me you don't use ChatGPT, you're lying. I'm using ChatGPT. Yeah. So yes, why are we afraid of diversity? If you think of it, why are we thinking? Because we have all those information. Yeah. The fear of diversity, like it says here in the slide, comes as a result of fanaticism, intolerance and the perception of truth as dogmatism. So in the encounter with people of different religious beliefs, we enter into this dialogue with the stranger, and we accept not only the religious diversity, but the cultural diversity of the modern world. This is something you all know. It's the United Nations General Assembly, the Article 18. I won't get into details due to restrictions, time restriction. And then now the project, the most important thing, what we did, the objective of PROSECUW was what? To put together public authorities, especially law enforcement agents, the religious leaders, and the congregants. And I'm going to tell you why this was extremely difficult. First of all, because they never go in dialogue. This is the key point. Never. Never ever. So with the first time saying, no, the European Commission had this idea, so we wrote this proposal, said, you know what, we should find ways to put them to communicate. I said, I'll do my best to do that. So what we did is, we have 4 countries, so Cyprus, Greece, Portugal, and Germany, to analyze, because it was impossible to do it in the whole Europe, you know. So we have tried to find ways which are analyzed here, so various tools such as campaigns, social media activities, and training, and a bit more formal, and the creation of manuals, so to share knowledge, some relevant tools, some good practices, EU practices, right? So, and then the outcome would be, first, the online training, which I will share with you. It's a creation of a hub, and then was, what else? A documentary. Unfortunately, we don't have Dr. Norris, somebody with us, but I'm going to show you, it's a small part, you tell us your opinion later. Okay. And of course, if you want to create awareness on PROSECUW, you have to find ambassadors. It was a good idea. So His Holiness, the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew in Constantinople, and probably you're aware of the guy on the right, no, on the left. So Pope Francis, when he welcomed us really with an open heart, it's interesting, you know, because you have to talk, you know, with, of course, with respect, but also with simplicity. And then a film, a documentary, was presented, and check this out. I mean, I assume that I see professors around us, and probably you're also going to write soon your thesis and you write assignments, stuff, but then I have this question, okay, how many people are going to read? How are you going to have access? Yeah, you're laughing, yeah, I know, yeah, but this is I'm talking about myself, it's true. Yeah. Right? Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we should definitely, but we should justify what you're saying. This is our job, part of our job at least. But mainly, our job as educators, I'm not doing a lesson now to professors, but yeah, I think is knowledge. Transmit knowledge, the values, and when we say critical thinking. So you're gonna be now, in this position to express your own ideas, your understandings regarding the religious diversity, religious freedom, how we should, how we should face what we're facing nowadays regarding the protection of to be secure in the place of worship. And so documentary, yes, and of course, this is a beautiful picture which I put here. There's different ways of creating awareness. So for the PROSECUW film, I've invited a guy from Pakistan, but restriction of time because this stopped.
Okay.
5 minutes?
Yeah,
5 minutes? Okay.
Okay.
5 plus to the video.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
of course.
Excellent.
You do 2.5.
So, excellent. you know, right? Okay. So, way of creating this guy came from Pakistan, 12 years old, walking Turkey, arrested, back in Pakistan, back then, arrested, back in Pakistan, already 14 years old, in a boat as a refugee. He came to Greece, put him in a land to cultivate oranges. The guy that was there, the good, sorry to say that, God forgive me, a good Christian, kept him here for a year, told him, you know what, I'm going to give you the money after you're going to finish the job in 1 year. What happened? Unfortunately, the guy said, you know what, either I'm going to go to the police and I'm going to send you back in your country, or you leave now. So he left, of course. He was eating, I don't know, just a plate of food every day, same food, same plate, same food, every day. He managed to escape, and he was a witness in our documentary because he was educated. Someone offered him education while in Kavala, in an area of the northeastern part of Greece. And luckily, this is how he said, you know what, Nikos, no. When I asked him, okay, it was a very difficult case because he was a Shiite Muslim, and he became a Sunni Muslim. Wasn't accepted either here, either in Greece, and of course, their parents never talked with him again. So he said, Nikos, it's my duty to do it. It's my responsibility. I want the whole world to know what I suffered and what is to be, what is religious freedom? We should respect. You're going to see him talking in a while. And of course, alternative ways of creating awareness. This happened 8:30 documentary, 10:30 I was on stage. Yeah, you know what? And then the reactions. Yeah, in the documentary we had 400 people, which is good, right? Of course, the feedback was 4 million people.
Yeah.
The articles, 100 people. That was it. Yeah, everything we were all 100 people. And I don't know how many likes I had in my Instagram account. A lot, I assume. Yeah. So, a very interesting part to define this protection, because talking about, attacks and security, when it comes to security, there's a place of worship. We also analyze the hate crime and hate speech and so terrorist attack. They're not the same, but all, let's say, in the same sphere. Probably you will ask me a question, we have to discuss more on that as well. What we did then, working packages. First one, to coordinate the whole project. Second one, mapping and research, do fieldwork. What happened in Greece? I had no idea. I thought I was safe. I never heard anything like that in Greece. Never ever. 546 attacks in a year, in 1 year, including the hate speech, hate crime, right? One terrorist attack, 2016, no one learned about it. It wasn't in the news. Someone left a bomb there from Spain, out in Athens. So I figured out after 6 years. In Greece, safest place in the world. Then was this hubs I was telling you about. So we create this hub in order to educate people that are interested, not only students, of course I use it with my students, but to educate students. And then the impact, what was the impact that this had? Write it down and see how we would move on. Yeah, we found the theories there, but then let's see what's going on. Religious illiteracy everywhere on that. And then the communicate, how to communicate, dissemination, you see a few things already there. The result of the hubs, good things, and I was expecting them, to be honest. Cyprus, there was a conclusion of the hub kickoff meeting. It was much needed. Everyone said, we need that. We need that because we don't have a clue about it. We don't know what the others are thinking. I don't know what my person next to me is thinking. Then in Greece, I have to be honest, indifferent. They didn't like it. Talking about it, they didn't like it. You know why? I don't need it. There's no terrorist attack. It won't be, never in Greece. And I don't want to put a camera, on my face while I'm praying, because my relationship with God is personal. I want to keep it like that. But it's not only about that. It's not only about you. There are people that are suffering, the terrorist attack that are happening. I had goosebumps while we were coming with my wife and Ellen Nectaris in New York. I had goosebumps when I saw New York. I say, where are the Twin Towers? Yeah, I said with almost, I'm sorry for my emotions. So hubs, the report again, Portugal, better Catholic environment, yeah, though, but you know, there was, you know, they collaborate better. And in Germany, they didn't do a good work. So in the project, I wasn't satisfied from what they have found there. And I think it's not that accurate. Why? Because I know the Turkish population there, the Muslim population there. So yeah, but that's why there's a sequel that's coming now. Desk research, I won't get into that because we covered it. The focus group, the most interesting part. Religious leaders, law enforcement agents, and public authorities come together in a table like that. Please, I want to listen what do we have to say. Communicate. Tell me, in the beginning, they were looking like they were lost in space. Why did the guy brought us here? In all countries, right? Why should that? I'm a religious leader. What's the talk with the law enforcement agent in Greece? We don't meet him. We go to the church. You know, it's safe. It's not in Europe. You're not, you know, you're also a citizen of this world. We're looking out at the television. It's like we're watching the news of a war like it's another Netflix series, which is not. It's a responsibility to do it. And the results, interesting, again, comment and different things there, of course, that we have found, but you know, in the beginning was, you know, a bit shy sometimes, I would say, but then, you know, many things came up. Before the thank you, I'd like to just to share one thing that I wrote in the end, like an end of the month. So the question that arose was the following: that are we sure that an irreligious person linked to an incident of an attack of a place of worship is expressing the beliefs and conviction of an entire religion? So compassion and love is expressed in the sacred text. I can assure you I'm a historian of religion. And traditional religion is not limited to the narrow boundaries that we humans often set. You know, loving and respecting our brother, our friend, so on and so forth. But extends also to the shared experience with people of different religious beliefs. So we need dialogue with the other. We have to listen to the others, to their prayers, their testimonies, and to share this anxiety we have for peace, for harmony, and for reconciliation. So, because this is how we can respond to the phenomenon of religious pluralism in a world that's constantly changing, both religiously and culturally. And now I have to thank you for your patience. And should we?
Yeah, you want to show the video though?
Yeah, it would be nice. Yeah. I thought it was in the. No, I got it here. Because it is. It will appear here. It's there. Is it the voice as well?
Hold on. I'll pause it for a moment.
Okay, yeah.
Now maybe right here.
Στην εκκλησία του Διονυσίου Αεροπαγίτου βρέθηκε εκρηκτικός μηχανισμός με στόχο όχι τόσο τη ζημιά στο κτίριο, αλλά το θάνατο μεγάλου αριθμού πιστών.
Πάρα πολλές φορές άκουσα την κουβέντα «Άκουσα στην μαγνητική αίρεση».
They ran after him after school and they took knife on him and they told him, even you change your religion or we will attack you.
I do feel that there is a distinction when I'm saying I'm Armenian.
Bu
what is you are good, you are doing, but don't say to others that your religion is bad, like that thing. We don't have right.
Ποιος Θεός, ποιος Χριστός λέει για πολεμάμε στην
Thank you.
I think we're open to questions, but can I ask you just to provide us with a few more details before we open to the questions?
Yeah.
How did you determine who to invite and convene in the project? You said, 3 stakeholder groups: law enforcement authorities, public officials, and religious leaders. So what was the methodology in the project for that? Number one. Number two, how did you distinguish between hate crimes on the one hand and vandalism on the other, general vandalism? You included terrorist attacks in there, but I think you were talking more about the kind of daily violence that's done to faith-based sites. So how did you make that distinction between hate crimes and between vandalism? People who are, they go in and they're looking for a collection box to get money for food, for example. And then finally, what has been the follow-up in terms of those stakeholder groups with political, with public authorities, law enforcement, and faith leaders? Have they continued to work together, or was it kind of a one-shot deal in a big EU-funded project?
It will be difficult already, yeah. Okay.
The professors asked the tough questions.
Yeah. Okay, I will start from your last question. Yeah, the idea was this hub exists, so the idea is for this to continue to happen. I'm using it with my students, and I know that the police officers, the police in general in Cyprus, are still using it. Put it in their let's say educational.
Or training?
They put it on their training. In order to put all those stakeholders together was very difficult. It was extremely difficult for the reason I already told you. Because you said, why should I care? This is a police security. Has to do with the police. No, it's not. Otherwise, it's not enough. Yeah. So in the beginning, we had at least mainly in Cyprus and in Greece, many people refused. Said no, we don't want to participate. I mean, what for? We don't need it. We're safe. We feel safe. And even though in Cyprus, we have, we're going to get quite along, with, with the neighbors. So why to put, oil in the fire and say, no, leave it like this. We're okay in the beginning. Later on, when they saw that, we found ambassadors. So when they saw, for example, the picture of His Holiness Pope Francis there, say, you know what? Okay, he said so much. It might be something, we should take it also into consideration. So it was a key point, I guess. His Holy Bartholomew, the same thing, and then bishops, not just normal priests. And then what else? You will tell me what. What application you're using the most?
Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
TikTok. We're there. Yeah. You know what? Facebook is only you and me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's for really old people.
Yeah, I think Instagram and Snapchat as well. Yeah, TikTok. Yeah. So through the media, this is how we managed. So so people that they knew them, they have access. You know what? Yeah, okay. So please go. So we managed to get, for example, the person that he works in was a Jew, Leon Salkel, working in the. You know him?
Yeah.
Okay, of course. He knows everyone. Yeah, in the United Nations, he works there, and in the anti-Semitic movement. So we say, you know what? He's from Thessaloniki. So you're from my hometown. I knew a friend, he was coming in my concerts. So, you know what, can you please tell him I want to discuss with him about that? I think it's good. You know what, it's easier to be involved in such projects, endeavor discussions, when you're a minority. Yeah. Because when you're the majority, you're gonna say, in Greece, 95% Orthodox, why do I care about that? But then, when you're minority, so already him being there, of course, he works in the United Nations, the bishop said, okay, I mean, how can we not, I mean, it's a project, yeah, and then it's the persons participating, me, Nikos, also Christian Orthodox, we should be involved as well. So we tricked them in the beginning. Later on, they asked for the second focus group. It was focus group 1 and focus group 2. In the first focus group was just, let's say, the heads of the church, of the police officer, the police, Rosterios, yeah, and then of the law enforcement, of the public authorities, so the vice mayor of Thessaloniki. In the second focus group, they said, okay, since they were in the first one, we're going to participate in the second one. And this now continues. How this will continue? A second project. So we'll be involved in really interesting. The persons were interested the most, at least in Greece, I can tell you about it, but you know, for other countries what happened as well, was the Roma community of Thessaloniki. They loved it. So finally, you know, someone is talking about religious minorities. They loved it. And of course, because of the priest there was doing the work, Father Athanagoras, you already know, he was, you know, well known in the Society of Thessaloniki, quite a big city, 1 million people, said, okay, Father Athanagoras is here, I want to participate. Please, can you send it to me? So immediately, let's say in a month, I had 5 universities and 3 high schools to participate in the project. So you have to find, you know, I was telling you, alternative ways to be able to promote. The second, and the other one was how to distinguish, right? Hate speech, hate crime, there was
Vandalism.
Vandalism as well, yeah. There was an online publication of the European Commission on the protection of place of worship, and the term, this is a term, the term place of worship refers to any temple, shrine, site, faith community, center or religious school where worship to any religion is practiced. So hate speech in this extent was in its everyday meaning covers all expressions and manifestations of, for example, racism, xenophobia, and homophobia. So we try to gather all the information because, you know, let's see with that. So this was the hate speech. The hate crime on the other side, based on the same study, a criminological concept, an umbrella term that refers to a group of crimes as defined by national crime laws. And of course, it was the bibliography. In order to find that, you know, because for us, what matters the most is to understand why to afraid religious diversity, firstly, and then how to protect. It wasn't that much. That was, let's say, the parallel road to talk about and about the findings. When I've mentioned earlier 546 cases, there were cases of vandalism. But then I said, this is also, you know, something we should study as well. It's not only about a terrorist attack, because if I would say it was just about a terrorist attack, with the protection, security for place of worship, your mind goes directly to the terrorist attack. Especially in Greece, what they think there is all people shouting Allahu Akbar, which actually means that God is great, God is the greatest, right? So think of it. And I was explaining it. So for us, the main purpose was, you know, we got the data from the State Department. So even it was just one terrorist attack. It's not that they won't happen other also, you know, in the environment, in the Greek environment. It's that it's not the focus. The focus is peace building. The focus is for all those stakeholders to communicate. They didn't care that much of the hatred, hate crime, because we experience this every single day. And it's almost impossible to distinguish one by one. Okay, because of the findings, already there are some also approaches by Bauer and Barth and Petra. You know, we have the bibliography on that. But the main purpose was to say how we will combat racism, religious racism, this Islamophobia, which I'm telling you, should not exist as a term.
What do you mean by that? Does not exist or should
Should
not
exist.
exist?
What is Islam? What is Islam? The term is, what does it mean? The term Islam. Not based on what the if I Google it, or if we Google the like Islam 9/11. What is Islam? What does it mean to be a Muslim? Again, I told you, that's what I told you in the beginning. You have to experience the religion. My Muslim roommate is the sweetest person I've met in my life. He emptied his pocket with coins we were studying in Italy in order for me to be safe if I will lose my money, because we have much money. So if I will lose my money, so I won't be able to take the bus to go to the train, to go to the airport. For me, he's a Muslim. In every city I'm calling him, say after Bataclan, after the Boston Marathon, the Bataclan, the Charlie Hebdo in France, and the first thing he's telling me, and guess what? He's uploading that in the internet. This is not Islam. What is Islam? Islam is the religion that made me realize my faith. When he was waking up every day, and five a day, every day, when he was asking me, Nikos, are you going to the kitchen, or are you going to stay in the room? I was asking him why he's asking me those questions. Because I want to pray. How do you communicate with your God, with our God? So, yes, this is Islam for me. It's to brush your jihad is to brush your teeth. Of course, it takes innumerous interpretations, like also, of course, in Christianity, we have so many different, understandings. Or if you wish, Christian worldviews. But in the end of the day, it's the other. It's the other. That should not be us and them, should be the neighbor, should be the person we care about, that we should care about, should be Ali from Pakistan. The guy that he ends his job every day. He was working, he was selling bags in a store nowadays. He finishes his job, and he's going to work in a Christian, call it kitchen soup or soup kitchen? Soup kitchen. And he's distributing the food as well. The guy from Pakistan, right? He came in Greece here, and then he's not just cooking. He's leaving the food outside the door because he doesn't want them to feel uncomfortable that someone else is providing food for them. Yes, this is Islam. You moderator.
No, can I let students first? Is that okay? Students, any questions? Anyone? Don't be shy. Yes.
Thank you very much for your talk.
We get it.
I know that
your name?
James Dimitriadis. But you mentioned obviously it's primarily focused on Europe. But then I saw that you had that photo with His Holiness the Eminence Bartholomew. I was just wondering, was there any dialogue on what Erdogan does in Constantinople to the Christians, the Orthodox Christians? Closing Paul Peace Seminary still hasn't been reopened. Obviously, Hagia Sophia has been returned into a mosque.
Yeah.
Last 3 years, or 4 years, that's been the case. I'm wondering, is there any dialogue, or is there an effort to expand into that region? Because Turkey obviously has decent relations with Europe.
Yeah, very good question. This is I don't know if I should say what we discussed with this whole holiness, but I will say with you what I can say. Okay? Yeah. It was the first time that he asked me, "Are you gonna talk about it?" And I said, yeah, we're gonna you know, the project was about the protection and security for place of worship. And this is not only about it, something more than that. So yes, we discussed about it. And regarding that, there are other things. It's not about the project, actually. Yeah, he suffers a lot about it, to be honest. And he's trying to find, he's not trying not to put oil in the fire, I was telling you, but to find a way so the people should see it, to don't, let's say, create any polemics. I'll give you a sort of example to understand, so for the audience to understand what kind of person he is. I was in Epiphany, and we have this to throw the cross in the, to sanctify the waters in Istanbul, Constantinople back then. So he was about to throw the cross and start, the hymn of Epiphany, and then suddenly, I don't know, maybe it was on purpose, the Imam started his prayer. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he said, everyone was so upset, so angry, and they wanted to go there to the Imam and create, this tension. And he said, no, please, let them finish their prayer. They're praying as well. Let them finish their prayer, and we'll continue after that. So what he's trying to do, I guess, is to find, ways, mainly, to keep this peace, because it's very difficult to establish still nowadays peace in that environment, because it's a bit, it's quite hostile, I guess.
Thank you. You touched on kind of the 4 different countries you're involved in, and countries with very different kind of political, economic, social makeups. As you try and expand the program to different countries, what are some of the issues you think you're going to run into with having these different bodies talk to each other in different kind of social, political environments? Do you need to adjust the program for each country you go into, or is there kind of a broader framework that you're going to try and implement kind of across Europe as a whole?
Very good question. Very good question. Actually, we have established the hub, like I was telling you. So there's some findings, and then something more general in the beginning. But depending on depending the results of the findings, then every country was formulating a national report. So we took this report, and based on the finding of that report, we wrote a transnational report, trying more or less not to find common things, but to write as much as we can, as much data as we can, because this is what the European Commission was asking for. So provide us with the results in those different countries. And then, it was an Orthodox country, a Catholic one. In Germany, it was more religious diverse because of the presence of the Muslim population there, which is fast growing as well. But like I was telling you, I was expecting more. We didn't have so much findings. So we didn't, let's say, create the formula. We let them free to express themselves. But then in the findings, in the final report, we've managed to include everything, there. So because we're trying to figure out, ways in order for the stakeholders to communicate, for congregants to communicate, and if I may have some minute to conclude what I would like to say, that I found it very interesting policy. It's in Detroit, not in Europe. So what they do is the congregants of a Christian temple, they're making shifts and protecting the mosque, and vice versa. It's a very good example. Yeah. So we also, included that. So so this, I guess, my answer to your question.
Thank
you. Yes.
Yeah, let me follow up on your point, religious diversity, particularly atheism, because like in a predominantly religious society like the United States, how can atheist people engage in religious activities and vice versa? How can religious people deal with atheism?
How religious people deal with atheism?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, all my bandmates are atheists. Yeah. So, but doesn't mean that they're not spiritual.
Okay.
So I think spirituality is a more broader sense. Like as I mentioned in the beginning, the protection and security of places of worship, which also here in the European Commission mentioned also, the shrines, the site, the faith community center. Yeah, this involves, everyone. It has to do with, we all of us were visiting sacred sites. So it's not, again, concentrated on the atheists, and of course they're not excluded. According to history of religion, atheism is a religion. There are more, since you discussed about Facebook, there are more Facebook pages on atheism than in many other religious traditions. There are no references.
And Benny, Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights protects the right to believe or not to believe.
Yeah.
So it's and the right to change your religion. So that includes atheism, and all of the international legal covenants that deal with these questions also identify atheists as a belief. Right?
I believe, yeah. Yes,
We're coming up on 1 o'clock, so I don't know if with people's schedules for classes, if anyone needs to filter out, please do so quietly. But I think that we have some more time.
Can you take a couple more questions?
You can take a couple more questions.
I can stay here forever. If it's succinct, yeah, of course I will.
If I may grant myself one first, please.
Yeah.
So it's often said that the United States is the most religiously diverse country on earth. I mean, nominally majority Christian, but a lot of denominational diversity, plus the strong presence of other different religions. In your work with very different contexts in Europe, what initial intuitions do you have about how religious diversity plays itself out in the risk of security for places of worship? Does more diversity equate to more risk, or does a stronger majority equate to more risk for places of worship? What patterns do you see?
No, I think we are living risky. We are living in a risk. That has to do with the religious, with numbers. I was just on my way here from the airport. I was discussing with Dr. Chamley. He told me that in Queens, they live 247. You remember when?
267 cultures.
Okay, was that?
In one neighborhood.
In one neighborhood, yeah.
In Jackson Heights, Queens.
Yeah.
It's the most plural, multicultural neighborhood on earth.
Yeah, but then, like I was telling you, in Greece, for example, we have 95% Christian Orthodox. Still, we had 45-6 cases. And then also with this, with the heavy, this coming of refugees some years ago, that affected a lot. Yeah, so yeah, it's not a question of numbers. Yeah.
Dr. Chumley, you had a question at the beginning. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
It's okay.
No, go.
I'm concerned.
Any other student questions? How about it, Norris?
I'm totally with you about religious illiteracy.
Yeah.
And I think a very good, profoundly good answer to that is dialogue, communication. What about the problem of exclusivity and fundamentalism? What are your strategies for dealing with that? If I say, well, I don't like Donald Trump, but my neighbor thinks Trump's great, wears a Trump hat, MAGA hat. I can't talk to the person. There's nothing, he's Trump fundamentalist. And I'm sort of a never Trump fundamentalist. How do we talk? How do we communicate?
From a religious perspective or from a cultural perspective?
Both. To me, they're intertwined.
I think from a religious perspective, Father Alexander's memory gave already the answer.
Ah.
Yeah. So it's, I was telling you, the possibility, your neighbor, the Trump supporter, yeah, you have to see in his neighbor the face of Jesus. Because you cannot reach
the face
God.
of Jesus.
Yes.
But what if he's Buddhist and doesn't have any deity?
What your perspective?
My perspective,
yeah.
of course.
Well, there's something. It's you cannot.
I say good morning to him every day. So that's why, you know.
I usually ask the father to confess you. Yeah. So I think that you cannot reach, at least from the monotheistic understanding, you cannot reach God if you won't pass through people.
Yeah, love that.
So this is even though I think this is the main thing. Then because there's a big question about synodality nowadays. The synodical system, mainly in the Catholic and the Orthodox world. I have a feeling that unity requires this diversity, mainly, and that, to be honest, we're tired of listening to slogans.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Listen to slogans. We have to see some actions, and this was a very good example. Never occurred before in Thessaloniki, a city of faiths, where for centuries Christians, Muslims, and Jews, they co-lived together for centuries. Never occurred before that they sat down in the same table. And very humbly and proudly, I'm saying this, for the first time, they talked about this project, they communicate, they sit in the same table like that. The rabbi, the Catholic representative, come from the Christian community, and Ali, the Muslim that came. So there are things, to do, I guess.
I'm redefining the MAGA, Make America Great Again slogan. Now the new one is Make Attorneys Get Attorneys.
I'm an expert on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Yes.
Thank you for your speech.
Yeah.
My name is Christos, and we share the same last name.
Dimitriadis?
Yes.
Hey. Extra credit, please.
From your point on fanaticism,
Yes.
would you say that it's one of the goals of your project would eventually be to reduce fanaticism in religions?
You said it really, really, really well. Not to eliminate, to reduce. We're realistic. We know what's happening out there, of course. Yes, but this would happen only through education. There's no other way, So through, and then you know what? How many things they've in the focus group I was discussing telling you before, how many things they've discovered, while they were dialoguing in the same table. Also the religious leaders. Again, when we say leaders don't want to be misunderstood, right? Yeah. So, yes. Yes, the answer is yes. Not to eliminate, it's impossible. Yeah. But to reduce, yes. Because maybe we don't know who's that guy next to us. I had no clue about Ali, this guy, for example. We've seen him before in the streets, for example, would probably, I'm saying with you, I probably would put my hand in the pocket to be secure. You never know, but then you say, who's the guy next to it. It's, This is the world we live in. But we have to do something. We have this responsibility to improve things. There is space. I think it was the lady in yeah.
Thank you for speaking to us. We're taking a class on populist parties in Europe, and what we've learned is that a big part of their agenda is Islamophobia. And so I was wondering, as you expand your program in Europe, how do you plan to kind of interact with those people who are very big on Islamophobia?
I think I'm going to repeat myself. Yeah. I'm at their disposal to explain what Islam really stands. I mean, it's unquestionably, you can find parts of Islam, like you can find in all religious texts. If you put them aside, for example, I can prove, I can say that Apostle Paul was a misogynist. I will just take one phrase in the Bible, right? I can talk about Islam in favor of wars, right? But you also, you have books, you read the manual, you don't read just the first page and the last page, close the book, you think that you know everything, right? You read the book as a whole, the sacred text as a whole. Those are books, sacred texts, talking about values, love, peace, compassion. So what I would suggest to those people to do is, to be educated, to get into dialogue, to know who's the other. Yeah.
Practically speaking, if you needed to deal with the supporter of Geert Wilders in the Netherlands or Alternative for Deutschland, I mean, how do you do it? How do you engage?
Like I was telling you, there are multiple ways. You can find alternative ways nowadays. Unfortunately, of course, for academics, books are not enough. So you find ways to communicate. You have to find then ambassadors. I attended once, I remember, a Madonna concert. I'm not a favor of Madonna, but I attended one concert once, and she put this one phrase, 50,000 people in Amsterdam, since you mentioned, yeah. One phrase on the big screen said that I was hungry, you gave me to eat. Only one, just one phrase. And imagine the impact. So we should try to find more than that, and to try to educate people. When I say education, I don't limit it education to academic education. So this is what we did in the project. And through the hub, some people participated. I mean, I remember when I was with my wife, Missiological, Dimitriadis, but she's a sociologist. And she was the one that did, they presented the hub in the Roma community. And I will never forget how, we're talking about people that they didn't even finish high school. They had a chance to go to high school. So still, we're able to understand it and embrace it. And so then starting sharing their stories. You know what I did once, this and that. We're taking notes on that. Because when we present it, there are very good policies. So we should follow. So to educate in a more broader sense.
I think we're bumping up against time. One last question, and then I think we'll close.
My friend.
Hello, I'm Jacob, and I just wanted to ask what you think about, for example, I completely appreciate the efforts that you've been making to, especially that part about how we all have a responsibility to learn more about the religion. But at the same time, I think one occurrence that comes with things like hate crimes is that sometimes it is a question of conviction, as in a person's conviction is strictly against this group or other than makes them act that way. But other times I think that it comes as a result of just people who are not in the best state, who just need something to hate. And do you think that there is really a way to reach out to those people who just need something to hate, just as like a human emotional reaction?
Should I respond as a theologian? or as yeah, because if I to respond as a theologian, and since I've studied this was my first degree, like Professor Jason said before, nothing is impossible when you believe in the Holy Spirit. From my perspective, right? From my Muslim fellow perspective, the guy from my roommate, he says the same thing, not using exactly the same phrase that I've used, but definitely it's, you know, in the same, let's say,
genre.
Yeah. So it's yeah. I think I've answered the question is not to eliminate religious fanaticism, it's to reduce. And then slowly, this is how, you know, changes are happening. You don't change from one day to the other. But this is, I think, it's a very good step, and very important one. That's why I think the European Commission invests on that and wants to continue building on that. Because imagine that I didn't know about that case in Detroit, for example. I mean, it's really something to be, you know, to appreciate, and of course to, you know, to address it and to reproduce it if you want. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
If people ask for your email, can we share your email?
You can share everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
May I share YouTubes of your concerts?
Of course.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being
The
with us.
Instagram as well. Yeah. I love Instagram. Yeah.